We want to go now to Skip Brandon, who is a former Deputy Assistant Director of the FBI for counterterrorism and intelligence. And Skip is on the phone with us right now, or is with us rather from Washington. Skip, thanks for being with us. Can this cooperation that we've heard about, because we heard Francois Hollande just a short time ago, the president of France, say that he was going to be coming to the United States, coming to Washington, going to Moscow to talk about the increased cooperation they hope to have in order to defeat ISIS. What is your take on that?
Well, I think it's essential to have that. The level of cooperation since 9/11 has increased dramatically around the world, but it's never perfect. And I think this is a very positive thing that the President of France is taking the initiative and publicly pushing this.
Well, one of the issues the U.S. has with Russia is Vladimir Putin's support of Assad. Why is it important that Russia drops its support for Bashar al-Assad?
Well, actually, most of the world, including the U.S. and the European countries and many of the Arab countries, think that Assad has to go. He's killing his own people. It's just, in a way, it's just that simple, but it's not, because the whole situation is very, very complex, as you know.
But is it crucial for them to drop that support in order for ISIS to be defeated?
Well, not necessarily, although the effort against Assad, of course, takes away from any effort against ISIS. There are finite resources in the region. So it would certainly be better if they didn't have to worry about Assad and his troops continuing to attack his own people.
What do you think about President Obama's strategy of containing ISIS?
Well, sadly enough, it doesn't seem to have worked very well. ISIS has spread in the region and also spread into Africa. And clearly now we see that they have had very recently or do have capabilities in Europe. So the containment hasn't worked yet.
So if containment is not working, at least the way they're attempting to do it now, could containment work, do you think, if there were troops on the ground? Do we need troops on the ground?
I thought that's where you were headed. We need more of an effort, whether it's actually troops on the ground engaged in battle or a lot more trainers and logistical assistance. That's for military people to figure out. But I think it's obvious to me that we do need a larger effort, maybe a more focused effort.
How, given what we've seen from ISIS and its affiliates, extending well beyond Iraq and Syria, how can counterterrorism officials go after these cells that seem to be popping up all over the world?
Well, that's where this increased cooperation comes in. It's not just between France, the United States, and Russia. It's going to be in a lot of different countries, as I said earlier, including on into Africa, where ISIS says they have cells, and all indications are they do have. So it's going to take an awful lot of gathering of countries in pulling things together.
Skip, I want to ask you about Abdelhamid Abacha, who is the suspected mastermind behind these Paris attacks. And, it was thought initially that for sure he would not have been in France when these attacks were underway, that he would have gotten out of town. And now there appears to have been information leading them to Saint-Denis. And in fact, he was not in Syria or elsewhere. I just want to get your take on, when you hear about him sort of possibly still in France, still sort of sitting pretty, watching this stuff unfold. What do you think?
Well, I think in some ways it surprises me that he's still there. It may have been that the police reaction after the act of terrorism in Paris was so intense, including increased security at modes of transportation, that he couldn't get away. The other thing that, of course, I think crosses all of our mind is he waiting to direct another attack.
Right. It's a worry for a lot of officials. All right, Skip Brandon in Washington for us. Skip, thank you.
You're welcome.